It is no secret religion in America is on a rapid decline. But why? Why is society abandoning the practice of delving deeper into spiritual connection? Joining us to talk about the numbers and how the Palmetto State fares in the grand scheme of things is Alan Cooperman, Director of Religion Research at the Pew Research Center. It's good to have you with us.
Thank you, Layla. Wonderful to be with you.
Thank you. So tell us a little bit about the overall statistic in the U.S. It seems like every time you come out with one of these studies, it's farther down that decline trajectory.
No, this time it's not, Layla. Actually, the big news in American religion is stability. But you're right, it's really a change because for some decades now, organized religion has broadly been in decline. The share of Americans who identify as Christian has been declining. The share who don't identify with any religion has been rising. The share who attend religious services, the share who belong to church, those things have all been down. But now, the last few years, we're seeing some stability. And in fact, the share of Christians in the United States has leveled off. In the last 5 years, it's hovered right around 60% or above.
That's incredible. That's great to hear. You know, as someone who is a Christian myself, it's nice to hear that people are coming back to religion, whatever that may be. And why do you think that is? Why do you think in the last few years people have been drawn back to religion and as practitioners of that religion?
Well, there are a few possibilities. But first thing, I should say express a little bit of humility. When we start talking about why, we're leaving the straight numbers behind, and we're kind of entering this area of theory and hypothesis. But, there's some evidence that COVID may have something to do with it. First of all, the leveling off has been since around the time of COVID. So just kind of coincidentally in times of, it seems like the timing's right. The other thing is that there's some evidence that what COVID did was reinforce the importance of religion to people who were already religious. So to be clear, I don't think that there's evidence that COVID took people who were non-religious and made them suddenly religious, but it may have reinforced the importance of religion to people for whom religion, let's put it this way, was already part of their psychological toolkit for dealing with the hard times. 1 million people died during COVID. It was a rough time.
It certainly was.
For a lot of people.
I think a lot of people, they want to have hope, and I think in many cases religion does offer hope that otherwise an agnostic view of the world may sometimes fail at providing. But of course, that's my own theory, which I am in no position to be an expert on it at all. I can only speak from my own heart. But let's talk about the Palmetto State, shall we? Because it is, of course, home to Charleston, which is also known as the Holy City. If you can't see a church steeple, then you're in the wrong town. So maybe you could tell us a little bit more about how religion is viewed and practiced here in South Carolina.
Well, you're sure right. South Carolina is a very religious state and has been for a long time. Just give you a couple of examples, a couple of statistics. 77%. A little more than 3/4 of adults in South Carolina identify as Christian. Again, compared nationally, the number is 62%. So 15 points higher. That's substantial.
Oh, that's really fascinating. And I have to say, not that I particularly search for it, but social media, though it may have its drawbacks, has actually been an incredible platform for people to talk about it. And I've actually seen younger people talk. I know that the older adults tend to skew more religious, but are you seeing that amongst a younger set as well?
Oh, so that's such a good question. The big picture nationwide is that younger people are still a lot less religious than older people. Really significant differences. Just give you one example. The boomer generation, people born in the 1950s and earlier, 75+% of them identify as Christian. In Gen Z, those born, since 1990, it's less than half.
Well, over the next several weeks, we're going to invite some leading religious folks here in Charleston to talk about sort of how religion plays a factor in the family makeup and where we are as a society and what they're seeing as a trend in their own houses of worship. So, Alan, thank you for getting this conversation started for us.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me, Layla.
Thank you.
And if you want to find any of these details, go to pewresearch.org.
Perfect. Thank you. We're back in 2 minutes.